It's another great day to start off the weekend today, and we're very so excited to have all of you join us. This is Enterprise Weekend, and reaching you from Enterprise Television. My name is Henry Igwebike. We'll start off today with our newspapers, and right after that will be I'm in conversation also for today. Please do well to be part of what we do. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have with us joining us right here in our studios, Barrister Evans Ofeli, Barrister, Law Public Affairs Analyst, and Emeka Madunago, journalist, public affairs analyst. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Good morning. And welcome. Hello. All right, let's start off today with the Saturday Punch newspaper. Lots of stories here on the very top strip. Northern governors in high-stakes meeting over terror attacks. And just before or beside the story, marketers import 2.4 trillion naira worth of petrol amid a competition with Dangote. And also, Nigerian communities where pythons roam free. But let's talk about the our talking point actually for today. Local government polls, revolt in Lagos, APC over imposition. We have two riders here. Protest Rock Council over controversial list. Party defend consensus, denies allegations. Emeka Madunago, let's start off with you. As a journalist, I would love to believe that you are very well into some of the stories, and especially from your contacts and all. What do you think is going on? I know that there have been lots of stakeholders wanting their children to be part of the run for local government in Lagos State. What do you think is happening? What is the latest?
You see, thank you very much. The myth that Tinubu has had, President Bola Tinubu has over 25 years had an iron grip on Lagos State is unraveling. Of course, we knew there was never any stronghold on Lagos State. It was just a matter of, having people, who could do his bidding here and there. But 25 years is a long time. A lot of people have now matured they've now grown into themselves to see that, wait a minute, this man is growing old. I mean, some of these things we are doing, of what benefit is it to us? We have been even locked out of the benefit. We've seen people who insulted Tinubu, who derided us over the years. Just come into the party, once they just go and do Rankadede Baba, they get into positions where they get benefits. And those of us who are the foot soldiers are just there. We can't even pay our children's school fees. I know of somebody who has done so much fighting for APC and all that. His car, he has parked it for some time. And he's complaining. There are others like that. So when you talk about revolts, even down to the local government level, at least that should, provide some, incentives for the grassroots, people at the grassroots. You are still bringing the elite, those who are already enjoying at the federal level, at the state level, one way or the other, even if they are not in public office, but somehow, they are connected to benefits one way or the other. You are still bringing them through their children, through their cronies, to the local government level. So, is a party in Lagos State just for a few people, just for a cabal? Now that is what some people are saying. No, it cannot happen. Look at, I give you an example of Mudashiru Obasa, the speaker, excuse me, who was in 2023 was so vocal. The way he was attacking Igbos, saying things that they are going to make laws. On property ownership, they will do this, they will do that, they will do this. He was just, look, only somebody who knows he's going to get something substantial at the end of the day will go the length that guy did. Because I even felt sorry for that. I felt for that guy. I said, whatever this guy is targeting, if he doesn't get it at the end of the day, he will understand that politics is a game, is a double-edged sword. And that's what has happened to him. Yes, he was removed as speaker, but somehow Tinubu brought him back, but they've destroyed his governorship ambition. His son wanted to be local government, wanted to get the ticket for Agege local government. He was eased out. So, what are we talking about? You've now brought Sheyi Tinubu, the president's son. How old is he? When APC, when they started the party, AD, the original, party in 1999. This was a young man in school now. He was in school. He was in school. You have now brought him to be part of those to superintend the process. When you have people who have been foot soldiers fighting battles, fought battles against the military, they've come in today, you are now pushing them aside. It is now Baba Sokwe crazy. That means what Baba says. So it's no more even. We are now moving to an era of no more Baba Sokwe. It's now Omo Baba Sokwe. That is the son of the Godfather is the one now speaking. Of course, there are people who will tell you that lightning does not strike twice in the same place. We cannot serve the Father and serve the Son. And that's what I tell people. When they say Nigeria is heading to a one-party, I say it can never happen. In a country like Nigeria, it can never happen. Look at Yugoslavia. You had somebody like, you have was it Brozny Tito? Dictator, iron hand, but what happened? The whole place disintegrated. So no, you cannot force a large society under the control of one man for a long period. Along the line, the very people, the very foot soldiers pushing his philosophy will be the ones to destroy it.
Now, while we talk about either or not the foot soldiers will destroy it, Barrister Vansu Feli, the Lagos politics is a little bit dynamic. It's something that you cannot predict or see it coming. There could be a revolt today. Tomorrow, it's disappeared.
Yes.
So don't you think that all of this revolt might just be superficial and they really do not mean it?
That's because in Lagos, the majority are actually those who are of state origin or those who are of the Yoruba extraction. The majority. Okay. Politically speaking. Okay. So those who are from other states and other, there's no much they can do politically. Okay, they can go to some extent. I mean, they have house members in places like Ajegule that are not Yorubas. Some Igbos are also in government and even in their state house of assembly. But there's not much you can do politically in a state that's not yours. Like, you cannot have overwhelming influence in a state that is not yours.
I truly understand. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going somewhere. So because you know that, because we're talking about this thing about, you might hear the opera today,
exactly,
and then by tomorrow everything has vanished. Yes. These people have some sense of consensus. He talks about the Vasokwe. If you see how Ambode was removed, you will know that Lagos politics truly is not predictable. Because even when Ambode was trying to fight back, a lot of people came at his back and they were pushing him, hailing him, calling him. You know, some were using drum talking drum to even sound of his name and hailing him. But when it got to the point where they had to conduct the primaries, he looked at his back and there was nobody there. Everybody had disappeared. Even his own deputy had disappeared and joined forces with the Sanwo-Olu's camp. And that was how it was removed. So, don't be surprised, like you said. This thing that noise in the night or one odd hour, the man who owns the state will call on the respective subsisting local government chairman or the kingmakers of those local governments. They'll convene a meeting and they'll ask them to go and talk to his people. And they'll talk to them and everything will die down.
Now, I do not know if this would continue, maybe in the nearest future, but let's take a look at the First and the Second Republic. Has it always been like this in the southwest of Nigeria, where there's this consensus thing, there is a revolt, and before you know, the revolt is nowhere?
It has not always been like this.
So can we say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu persona has really created or invented what we see today in Lagos?
He did a lot. His influence is overwhelming. Do you know that in this same southwest, Awolowo and Akintola's, in the republic you refer to, their enmity subsisted till they both left this world. So there used to be opposition in the west here, strong one within themselves politically. Okay, but right now that is not really holding the ground, because what you have now is a different kind of politics where one man controls the move. You see this local government chairman I'm talking about, you cannot even become the local government chairman if you have not gone to register your presence before him, and you know, and you have been properly brought before him and anointed accordingly. So it's not a thing of democracy, the government of the people. Democracy is by people's participation and voting here. No, it's not by voting here. It's not by, it's by some strange arrangement where they start to trace who's your father, who birthed your father's father, your grandfather, and all that. You trace it, then you are now properly introduced. You now do the needful. Then you now take instructions. What took Ambode down is because he didn't take instructions. They are supposed to take instructions. That's how the polity work here, and work by that instruction. So, but if you want to do man of my own politics in Lagos State, you cannot succeed. Everything is written already. All you do is you take the manual and follow through.
But there has been this cry by the Abo origins of Lagos, who most recently have started speaking out when Obasa was actually doing all of that. I remember very vividly one of the true natives of Lagos cried out and said he is not even a Lagosian starting up. So why should they continue to control? So do you think there could be a wave from indigenous Lagos State people to say this would stop? Do you think they have that person that to make that possible?
Yeah, those indigenous ones, they don't have the full support. Their voices are not loud enough. What they are saying is valid. Is they want to establish their presence, rightfully so, politically. You understand? But I know few of them. We went to school together. Two lawyers that are championing those causes from Ekwe and all that. But even when they are saying all those things, even when we know that there is injustice politically and all that, they are real elders, the ones who actually are in cahoots with these other persons that you say they are not from Lagos. So at the end of the day, it's this agitation that in someday in future, maybe these ones will give way so that we can practice proper democracy. That's exactly what they are doing. And in the process, they too, when they push very hard too, they call them as I give them money, they too will turn against the same cause they have established to fight against. You understand? So, you see, to be an activist and to be a freedom fighter with extreme poverty is a very difficult thing to do. Nobody can really, except for very few people who have discipline, to be poor and wretched and to want to fight a cause and fight it through, you have to be very disciplined to get that done. Because I'm telling you that the temptations in these things are much. I do activism in Delta State. I know how much I've been offered, that I didn't take a dime. Not everybody will do that. Don't have the discipline to. I could have collected those money and just go and lie down somewhere. But no, that is not how to. You don't deceive people just because. So many of them who are even championing this thing, they call some of them and offer them a ticket for the State House of Assembly, a ticket at the local government level, an appointment that will just put food on their table, pay their children's school fees, and keep them quiet. Because when they are sad, they keep quiet. So is it those kind of people that want to do? There are those who are genuinely fighting for liberation. You understand? I'm not saying that all of them are involved, but it takes a lot to really stand for your people with poverty. You have beaten it, and you can't. It's difficult.
Well, it's actually a very strange issue here. I just hope that Rhodes Viver, would
Badebo.
yeah, Badebo, would not, of course, cave to some of these things. Well, he has shown integrity to some level.
Yeah, the interesting thing about, like I said, Lagos politics is that the implosion, yes, is happening gradually. But you see, while Tinubu is alive, while he's still on ground, president and all of that, he has a lot of influence, no doubt about that. But the last election in Lagos, last presidential election, actually showed that it was not, that a lot of it, because when some of his people say it was Igbos and all that, you know, people laugh at them. How many Igbos are in Lagos?
Yeah,
Do a census of Igbos. How many Igbos are in
Yorubas voted against.
Yeah, voted.
It was Yorubas who voted against him.
Exactly.
Now, this had been long coming. Now, he's trying to turn his son to a crown prince, the crown prince of Lagos politics. But the indigenous people are pushing back. There are also other people like Aregbesola who have been exchanged. But they are still laughing because all of us started this game together. We know the things we did to get to where we are. And we know the things we will do at the right time to undo what we have done. But you see, the thing with politics is about timing. In politics, sometimes you need to be so patient. You can be as patient as 25 years. You need to be patient. But your day will come. It's a matter of time. So, definitely, Tinubu cannot continue to control Lagos politics for much longer. He himself, he knows that age is not on his side. He knows. Now he's trying to bring in his son, but let me tell you, he's going to be torpedoed. You see all these Fashola and co, you know, those guys are independent-minded guys. So Fashola is trying to bring his own son into the fray now. All of them too. But look at the chairman of the Governance Advisory Council, you know, saying that, I mean, this is not right. That is not right for us to be. So all of those tendencies are just time bombs, ticking time bombs, just waiting for the right time to explode. And so the thing about local government is this. After the last election, I learned that Tinubu called them and said upon all he did, that LCDA, those LCDAs are actually illegal. That he just, you know, kept quiet and just allowed for government just to allow them to be operating. Look at other states. They folded up their, last year, Ondo State was forced to shut down its LCDAs. It's only in Lagos State that you see have LCDAs waxing strong. So, and he told them, upon all I did for you people, yet you turned against me, that okay, I'm going to make sure that those LCDAs are scrapped. If you remember last year, he said something like that. That's Supreme Court judgment. You know, the chairman of Association of Local Governments of Nigeria is actually the chairman of an LCDA in Lagos. So I learned a lot of people went to beg him, but look, those who are being taken care of by local government, there are many. If you close these LCDAs, how are we going to take care of these people? That, you know, sometimes in politics, you just create some centers like that just to take care of different interests at the grassroots, not because they have any use. Sometimes you just see government will go and build something somewhere, you know, just make sure that some people are resuming work there every morning and all of that, collecting salaries. There are cleaners and all that, so that at least let there be peace in that area. And let there be people helping us to watch that area. So that's why, despite the Supreme Court judgment, in fact, Supreme Court judgment actually needs to be implemented in Lagos State. But guess what? The LCADs are part of the political units preparing for election, alongside local governments. Then, what did you see some months ago? That the moves to list the local governments in the constitution. So what does that tell you? Tinubu himself is also trying to use appeasement to reach out to his people. So it's not as if it is, you know, a situation where, hey, you people shut up. Tinubu is a master of appeasement. He knows how to use it very well. I followed his political career from very, 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 very long time. Even before he became governor of Lagos State. I followed him closely. He's a master of appeasement. As long as you can say the right words, you can do the right, you know, Dobale and Arankadede, you will, you know, he will accept you. He will accept you. But don't always take his word for it. Don't always take his word for it. That's what I've advised some people. Some of you don't understand the way this man
So
works.
not taking his words.
For instance, I give you an example.
He's deceitful. Is that what you're saying?
He's a politician. A politician will put on his indicator that he's turning right, whereas he's going left. Like the people that defected in Delta State. Let me tell you something. Don't be surprised.
They'll come back.
That what's the Omo Agege may become the candidate of PDP of APC in 2027. These are the, you know, that's the way politics is.
All right.
So, you see the local government thing. Yes, there might be an implosion. But the time when the real implosion will come is not right now. But it's a gradual thing. It's a gradual thing.
All right. So while we wait for it, I learned that elections will be coming in the next 2 months, I guess. Let's just see how it runs. But let's take a look at Saturday Vanguard for today. Terror attack, Army General explains sudden resurgence. And just below it, new Pope's connection to Nigeria, the white smoke from Chicago. And native doctors, kidnappers, scammers flee to Asaba. And the writer to that story, Soludo's crackdown in Anambra, is the reason for it. Let me start with you, Pastor Van Sufeli.
Why are they coming to us?
Of course, their closest door neighbor. And if Soludo is doing an amazing job, of course, these people always look for the newest place to do their trade. And Asaba is a little bit docile with some of these things. So, of course, it's the most reputable place they can do their business. So, what is Oborowori not doing right about now?
Well, now he needs to look at exactly what they are coming to do in the state. Because if native doctors, kidnappers, and scammers are moving into Asaba, what it means is that Asaba will no longer be safe. Because it was as a result of the heavy insecurity in Anambra. That is what led to the expansion of Asaba. Asaba actually got an advantage from that dysfunctionality in Anambra when the place became unsafe. Businessmen that have real money and investment assets in that, they move most of their things to Asaba and build houses, expand Asaba. Asaba became very... Now, this is like what you call the law of diminishing return. Because now you now have a governor in Anambra who is saying that we're going to zero tolerance to Okite.
Yes.
Some of these very criminal activities that you cannot fathom out.
And including pastors actually is equally doing the same thing and closing down their churches and all.
They are doing. So now they are moving to Asaba. Asaba is not a very big place. And is becoming cosmopolitan gradually in its own way. A fast-growing city with a lot of investment and the rest of that. The governor of that state will have to do exactly what Solodo is doing, so that they can find their way out of that place. So they should, if they move into another state and that governor also, you know, beef up security, increase surveillance, and do all that the governor in Anambra is doing, then they will have to keep moving. Okay, so this is not the time to now relax, because I see that this defection has gone into their head. Yeah. And they are not doing anything really serious in that state again. They are always celebrating and jubilating every day and saying they have gone to the center. They have not gone to any center. This is the time to walk. We should not allow that, because Asabatu used to be very insecure. In that 1998, 99, up to 2000, 2001 to 6, Asaba used to be very, very unsecured. I mean, at that time, I remember James Ibori had to, you know, empower the police then, okay, and did a lot on security. Okay, then the subsequent governors that came, you know, laid proper foundation, and Asaba became safe. It became a growing city. It became everything. But now that these people are moving into Asaba, they are carrying their
their trade
into Asaba. Some of them are carrying their idols and their juju and everything, and they are moving into Asaba. And you are watching them. Everyone have a right to live anywhere in the country. But what you don't have a right to do anywhere in the country is to be committing crime, or to come there with the purpose of getting new victims. That state, Delta State need to work hard and ensure that. I hope they are aware of this story. The security agencies must beef up and they must do something about this issue.
Yes, Emeka, Soludo, of course, has been doing an amazing job with respect to security and ensuring that things work. But do you think he is doing enough? That there's still a resurgence of kidnapping in that part
of course.
the
You
country.
can't expect that all of them. But the thing is this. The governor in Imo State, Hope Uzodinma, is not as committed as Soludo is. Look at what happened in Okigwe some days ago. They burned 20 vehicles, killed people, kidnapped some people. They were shouting, "Free our leader, Nnamdi Kanu." Of course, you know that this thing was orchestrated to get Nnamdi Kanu into more trouble. Because his trial is ongoing. Look at this kind of thing. You may be surprised that they may not even be his supporters, but just some people looking for how to turn things against him. That is one. So, Ludo, yes, he has been trying with the military, DSS, police, vigilante groups and all of that. And the people also keen into the thing because the insecurity affected everybody. So everybody is now working hard with him. But Soludo also needs to get in control of himself. Some of the, he's been accused of pettiness. Everything, every time he has to make a major policy statement, he finds a way to drag Peter Obi into it. Even during the last visit of President Tinubu, the last time a president visited here in 2012 was open a brewery. You see, these things, no matter how well, no matter how well you are performing, as long as you are weighed down by pettiness and direct hatred, you know what? Support will go to that person. And your enemies, your opponents will take advantage of it. They are waiting. They are waiting. So if there are people who can actually sit Soludo down and tell him, listen, can you please just leave Peter Obi out of your calculations? Face governance. Because it's affecting him already. His people have been running all over the place.
Peter Obi is not even his predecessor.
It was Obiano. So look at all of these things now. What we're talking about, okay, moving to Delta State, these things have been there. If you remember the people, the suspects that were caught for the killing of that House of Assembly member, Justice Azuka, they were in Asaba. One of them that had this inscription, "No peace for government," they were all in Asaba. These guys have been here and there, some of them hiding on the banks of the River Niger, hiding in camps on the banks of the River Niger, so that they are available to go and strike anywhere, in different places. They are available. So, but it is the fake. Well, I don't know because I'm not an African traditional religion practitioner. It is those native doctors who have been promising people all kinds of funny things. Those ones are now migrating to Asaba, and the government is giving. Even though some of the communities around Asaba are saying no, they are saying no to them. So, the thing is this: Udwara, as governor of Delta. Even Okowa, they made Asaba safe. There was a time that you had security vehicles. There was a time I visited Asaba. We drove around and we saw security vehicles here and there. Position, showing command presence, position in different parts of Asaba. Asaba was safe. But the problem was that it was the highway, that's Benin Asaba highway. There was a time they kidnapped a DPO. They had to pay 2 million naira for his release. That was some years ago on that stretch. So it is very important for the security agencies to crack down on these guys. Whether they move from Anambra or anywhere, it's not difficult to trace them. Asaba is not very big. Where many of them are actually operating is within the forest of Ibuzo, Ogwashiuku. Those forests that are now being turned into, being developed, by realtors. You remember some weeks ago they kidnapped a realtor who was breastfeeding. Her mother and her baby were inside the car and they took her. By the time the police came, they killed her. The girl was alive, they just shot her dead. For what? So the thing is, they are even making the property, they are trying to destroy the property industry in Delta, in that part, because, I don't know, for reasons best known to them. And you know why Oborowori should be worried is this. The Southern Delta is still plagued by serious insecurity. Worry. The waterways of Bomadi, Patani, and all those, you cannot move around anywhere. Pirates are in charge of all those places. Then all those Warrior, Braka, and the rest of them, they are still not secure. So a lot of people also moved from those places to, you know, to Asaba.
To Delta
you
North.
know, to Delta North. So if he keeps quiet, I know Agbo is still relatively, you know, secure. But if he keeps quiet and allows Asaba, the state capital, to be overrun by these guys, it's going to be too bad.
But one would wonder, why is it difficult for governors to come together and allow for a coordination in security, you know, working with one another? I don't know why it's difficult.
They do. Yeah, many of them, they have alliance now. You know, majorly is the Commissioner of Police of the different states that coordinates through their, you know, radio and all that, track criminality, crime, and the rest of that, attacks and the rest of all that. What governors do is to provide them with an enabling environment and equipment, because the federal government really don't really fund.
Well, that's what the security vote is meant for.
So
they've given them an opportunity
that's what
to do
the
that.
security vote is meant for. Even the budget on security, that's what it's meant for. You understand? So this Commissioner of Police in these different states, they do a lot of coercion, okay, but state governors must assist them, must empower them the more, let them have vehicles, let them have equipment for logistics and all that. And most importantly, when they buy this vehicle, they must put a maintenance culture on it. Do you know that the police vehicle is not washed? Have you ever seen a police vehicle that is washed? They don't wash it, they don't maintain it, they don't put oil when they're supposed to do that. So before you know it, their equipment for engagement is weaker than that of the criminal. So it's always tough for them to get ahead of the criminal because of the breakdown they always have. But if you have a government that is able to provide this equipment, and then you create a maintenance unit outside the police or whatever it is, whether inside or outside the police, that will make sure that these equipment are all in good condition, then they work better. They'll be able to try crime better. There's this woman that was killed in Asaba the other time.
The aide, is it the aide to the governor?
The aide and the other one, the other one that was killed before the last one.
Yeah.
You understand? Those are targets that are avoidable. Okay, and the very many people that have been kidnapped on that, between the airport and that Coca Junction, is it Ibuzo Junction, that area, a lot of people have been kidnapped there.
Is it as a knee?
Yeah,
Coca.
Yeah, yes. within that side. Okay, we should have either a checkpoint, or we should have something, because the moment you leave Umunede and this other community by the right, before you get to Umunede, the moment you leave those two communities, there are no checkpoints from there up to Head Bridge, Onisha Bridge, and a lot of crime happen within that area. So the security forces need to work in that, and the governors must have coercion. The three governors in that region, Edo, Delta, and Anambra, they must do something very critical.
All right, while we wait for that to happen, let's take a finally on the top strip here. 2027, Atiku may want to run again, but will it help the opposition? I have a couple of writers here. His ambition are fracturing opposition politics, and that's coming from critics. And of course, his aide fired back. How does ex-VP's potential candidacy affect the price of Gari, rice, tomatoes, and onions? Emeka Madunago, why do we find it difficult to possibly just accept that Atiku might really be the nice guy Nigeria wants?
Well, he has a right under the constitution to run as many times as he wants. Those who are pushing this in are APC people, trying to make it look, oh, just throwing up all kinds. You know, APC has a very strong propaganda setup. If people don't realize, you know, was it 2015? When that DSS spokesperson, Marilyn Oga, exposed, you know, arrested some of them with laptops and all that, and told them, just look at what they're doing. See the people they are using. So they have a way of bringing this out, and then they turn around.
Pushing falsehood. You
know, falsehood up and down. So they are the ones talking of Atiku fracturing opposition. There is no opposition that Atiku is fracturing. Because they know Atiku is formidable, Atiku has the resources, Atiku has the contacts and everything. So why, you know, why will Atiku not run? Did he stop anybody?
Do you think an Atiku's candidacy is good for Nigeria?
Why is it bad for Nigeria? If a Tinubu candidacy is good for Nigeria, if a Jonathan candidacy was good for Nigeria, why is an Atiku candidacy bad for Nigeria? Is he not a Nigerian? They've tried all kinds of things to show that he's a Cameroonian, to show that he's a this, to show that he's a this. It's all continuing APC propaganda because they know it's formidable. That is why every day they attack Peter Obi. Because they know it's formidable.
But do you
yes,
think,
because you are the critic of Atiku.
Do you think it's the best option for PDP?
No, the thing is that
if PDP want to bury itself completely, they should bring Atiku out again.
But he's the only one that
can
gather lots of votes from the northern part of Nigeria. As it stands today.
They can find an alternative. They can find an alternative.
Like
Atiku is not a viable candidate. Atiku does not have what it takes to lead Nigeria. He was there before as a deputy vice president of the country. Okay, what were his contribution to the growth of the country? Then, if the country even had any semblance of growth, then the economy, he was in charge of the economy. The economy was growing by 0.2% under him for a long time. So, what? Okay, when he becomes the president now, assuming but not considering, what is it? What kind of technical economic policy is he going to deploy? Is it privatization or what? That's the only thing you understand.
No, but the aid has
and
always said
they won't get anything in return. Their privatization does not bring anything in return. So I don't see Atiku as a formidable candidate. If PDP want to be strategic, let him play the role of a statesman. Okay, let him join forces with the leaders of that party to get someone who is clear-headed, who is sellable, relatively young, okay, whom people can rally around. For those sympathizers of PDP can rally around and make something, and make a good what do you call it, competition, or that can contest keenly with Tinubu and other aspirants.
But Baba is that realistically, you know, if you do the permutation, there's no other person that can go head to head.
That's where we get it wrong. When we start to say there's no other person, nobody, that's where we get it wrong. Because the party is big enough. The party can make, can form, what do you call it, alliances with other parties. Are you saying that Kwankwaso cannot stand if they come together? Are you saying that Atiku is better than Kwankwaso?
Well, Kwankwaso is heading to APC now.
I'm just saying, because they're saying there's nobody. But I'm saying that even PDP, if they do this outing again without merger with other people, which APC did to defeat them, if they go out again without that necessary measure they need to increase their bandwidth and capacity, they are still going to fail again.
Well, let's just see how it goes, though. The race is still there. Atiku hasn't given up yet. He still wants to possibly try like Muhammad Buhari had done. Buhari contested lots of times, and of course at the last time he got it. Let's just see how this goes, though. That's all we have for this particular segment of the show. And just to let you know that both gentlemen will be here to take us on our main conversation, and that's when we return. Too many cooks are spoiled, both Ganduje canvases for a one-party state. That in a bit, the Steel Enterprise weekend. Please don't go anywhere.